welcome to Free Range with Gail of Gaia and today's co-host Sterling Hill. Today, Gail and Sterling welcome guest Robinson Gourley Jr., or Rob, an entrepreneur in the fields of automobile performance, commercial vessel conversion, mechanical design, and water-ion technologies. Rob co-founded Watt-Ahh Technologies LLC and AquaNew, makers of Watt-Ahh, the only high-energy water of its kind. And now, Gail of Gaia and Sterling Hill welcome Rob Gourley.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range. And I have with me today Sterling Hill, who is acting as my co-host, and Rob Gourley, an inventor extraordinaire, who has developed the fifth phase of water. When we got to the fourth phase, I thought that was it, but obviously it's not. So welcome, both of you. And Bob, would you please explain about the fifth phase of water? Well, maybe we should have a little bit about you. Tell us more about you, your inventor background.
Well, I come from, thank you very much for inviting us on. This is really a treat. I come from a family of inventors. Many of the products you've actually used, if you've ever used Tide detergent, Uncle Jim was head chemist for...
Oh my God, really?
That developed that. The dimmer switch was developed by one of our companies. The modern ailerons on the aircraft were patented by one of my great-grandfather, actually my grandfather.
Wow.
And so we've got quite a few. Syracuse, China was one of the family companies. Pass and Seymour Electric was another one of the companies. So
Wow.
Rather interesting
Runs
background.
in the family.
Yes.
Runs in the family. Sterling, don't you have a bit of a background like that too?
Oh, yes, most definitely. And I see it in one of my grandchildren and one of my sons as well. My son's always trying to throw patents on everything. But my great-grandfather was founded the first inventors convention with Ford, Firestone, and Edison. He's hung in the Smithsonian with them. He was one of the greatest mechanical engineers in world history. His name was James Buchanan Hill. He invented what they called the amphibious juggernauts, which we now call the Caterpillar wheels. Also the modern day arming tank and something called the Buckeye Steam traction ditcher. But he was one of the founders. He was one of the founders of the first inventors convention with Ford, Firestone, and Edison. And Firestone, and Edison were basically responsible for the first T model car. Ford was just the businessman. So many of the parts in the first Ford T model car came from my great grandfather, James Buchanan Hill.
Wow. Well, that's so. We've got people with genetic history of inventing. And of course, you're a genetic expert as well. And the ability to have water, which totally hydrates our cells immediately, as opposed to what I think I read a couple of hours normally for the body to convert. Is that to convert?
So it's over 2 hours, but you normally only absorb less than probably 15%. The rest the kidneys strip off. So.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Well, how does this work? Rob, people have asked me about it. Does it microcluster? Does it have extra oxygen in it? Maybe you could explain it better than I have been able to.
Okay, basically what I've discovered is the true gaseous state of water, which is a ditetra gas. What it is bonding two water molecules together, putting the two oxygens back into a diatomic bond where they're bonded together with 4 hydrogens. So it's a very interesting molecule, but to make it stable, one has to add electrons to the hydrogens, which then flew in the face of old science. And now I have proved that hydrogen can carry more than 1 electron. And we've also shown that we're adding electrons to the outer shells of the oxygen molecule also. So it's a very interesting process. It's all done through very powerful magnetic fields and flooding with electrons.
It's amazing. I also recently read something about how the mitochondria play a role in our metabolism and immunity, and the cell being able to hydrate is certainly very important in that regard. Have you?
Well, the mitochondria is the main controlling factor for the whole body. That's what ramps up
cell.
That's what controls how much energy all the cells receive in the body. It's all based on the mitochondria, which is an alien creature, which is interesting, and he outnumbers the cells.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I read that one time. I gone, wow, this is weird.
Yeah, it's a straight line DNA. It's not a helix. And it's a very interesting creature because it'll outnumber the cells, and like, fingernails and bones that don't move or need to repair very often, there's probably only 5 mitochondria, 5 to 7 per cell. But in tissue that's muscle and things like that, you can have over 30.
Wow.
So if you add up the number of mitochondria, they way outnumber the number of cells in the body. And it's a completely alien creature that came from somewhere else. It's not human.
I know, I read that. I'm going, what? Are you kidding me? That's pretty amazing. Yeah. So I'm glad to have you confirm that, because I was going, is this really true? But apparently it is. Do you have any comments? Oh, go ahead.
What's actually happening is the mitochondria is actually stripping electrons, because we are electrical creatures. And that's what's happening. And what we've shown is that they for a long time thought that the ditetra was being formed in the mitochondria as a waste product, but now they realize it's a fuel product. And by making it with additional electrons, what we're seeing is a major ramp up of the body's ability to heal and do things, because healing requires energy. If you don't have a surplus of energy, nothing is going to get done other than keeping you alive. But to repair anything, it takes a massive amount of surplus energy. And that's why it's so important to provide that energy to the cells. And that's why we see such incredible healing.
Isn't your water unique? There isn't anyone else that has this process or makes this water?
No, I started this in 1974.
Oh, this has been a long time coming.
This is a long journey, yes. And I don't know anyone else, even the physical chemists I work with and some of the top guys in the world, they all kind of laughed at me because they said it's impossible what you're trying to do. But now they're going, well, now we understand what you've done, but no one would have ever put that much time and energy and money into doing what you're doing.
Sometimes when you tell somebody that, if they're of that nature, they will prove you wrong one way or another. Don't tell me I can't do it. I'm glad we have people like that. Well, you've had testimonials from people in a variety of areas, haven't you, that have used the water and
we've had all sorts of testimonials. I mean, we have, doctors using it, we have nurses using it, we have veterinaries using it. The testimonials are completely a wide gamut, because no matter if it's healing of a wound or healing of an eye or healing of a bone, it's all electrons. This is what's required in the cells. So once you add this massive amount of energy to the body, it will go to where it's needed, and that's what's so unique about this product. The body will utilize it where it's truly necessary.
Wow, and you've seen that happen. I mean,
definitely.
Wow. You have any comment on that, Sterling? About your experience or?
Yeah, I'd like to share my experience with it. A couple of years ago, I said, let me try this out after reading about it. And I can remember after I got to started drinking a whole bottle a day, because you remember years ago, I was very super sensitive to everything. So I started out real slow with it, like I do everything. And when I got to a bottle a day, after about a week, I was like jumping out of bed and I wasn't having to hold on to the rail anymore. And I said, maybe this is just placebo effect. But then I kept on drinking a bottle a day. Pain didn't come back. And as most people know by now about me, I broke my neck, fractured my skull, I had a disc removed from my lower back. I've had my stomach muscles there's none there because I've been cut from breastbone, pubic bone, hip to hip. And I mean, just jumping out of bed without holding onto the rails, it was a miracle. And between January and March, I would have to be on some type of narcotic because I'm allergic to aspirin and NSAIDs. And I remember that first winter, it was like no narcotics at all. I was just using Watt-Ahh. I didn't have to do any kind of other supplement that, like people do turmeric, curcumin, whatever. I didn't need that. I just needed that Watt-Ahh. And it was just amazing. It was like a miracle. So I think I called up Rob and I introduced myself and who I was. And then I started talking about it. Mm-hmm. And I had friends that had been injured by Cipro and Levaquin like I have. Mm-hmm. And huge damage. And one of my friends, she's an RN. And she had to be put on a CPAP because she had extreme lung burning. And the doctor was afraid that she wasn't breathing right in her sleep, tested her. Sure enough, she wasn't. And that was a lot of damage from that Cipro she was on. And she decided after
bad things about that.
After what I was doing, she decided to put the Watt-Ahh in her CPAP machine. Oh. And she woke up the next day, no more lung burning. 0, gone. So that's kind of how I went off with it. And then I just started talking about it to so many people.
You told me about it and I went, wow, okay, I'll look into it. There's so many water products out there. People's first reaction is it's just another purified water, or microclustered water or something of that nature. And it's not.
I actually have a friend of mine that's a PhD in nursing, and what she did, she saw how well I was doing. She was so impressed. She had a trip to Alaska, and she loved it the minute she tried it. It gave her so much energy. And one thing that she did, she has all these kind of gadgets to test microwave radiation. And she did a urinalysis without drinking the Watt-Ahh and saw that was 0 radiation in the urine. But she also checked the Watt-Ahh, saw there was 0 radiation in it. But then she drank the Watt-Ahh, did a urinalysis, and guess what? She peed out radiation. She had radioactive, like it was removing the radiation.
Wow. So it will detox you as well.
Extremely so. Wow. Extremely so. It's probably the most powerful detoxer you can touch. We've done a lot with the older dentists that handled amalgam fillings in their palm of their hand for 30 years. And their mercury levels are off the charts. And it normally takes about 3 months on the water, and it's completely, it's gone.
That's
Nobody can
amazing.
explain.
Yeah, that is absolutely amazing. That is, wow. Because everybody needs to detox. We live in there's pollution in our body, let me put it that way. And it always reminds me of Dr. Young's video, like when you have a tank of fish and you have the water's dirty and the fish are sick, and then you have, what are you going to do? Vaccinate the fish or medicate the fish, whatever you want to call it, or you're going to change the water. And that's the terrain thing. And this will actually correct your polluted terrain by making it unpolluted, from what you're telling me, because it'll detox it, correct?
Right. It raises the systolic pressure because it'll travel in through the cell wall, raise the pressures, and push out the old water and a lot of the substances that need to be flushed out.
That's amazing. I was not aware that it took a couple of hours for your body to actually be able to utilize water.
Yes.
You mentioned that before. That's very interesting. What other kinds of people have had different results with that you're aware of?
Well, I had a very interesting one just recently. A friend of ours who's now 97, he's the last survivor off the Houston. It was cut in half during the Second World War over in the Philippines. And he was in hospice, and he was taken home by his daughter, who's a nurse. He's on 1.5 liters of water now, and he was out playing golf yesterday.
Oh, my word. That's amazing. That's amazing. Because I told somebody about it, and I was hoping that she would be interested and look into it. But she was under the impression that water that was oxygenated would be more effective. And
you can't really add, additional oxygen or hydrogen to the water. There's no place for it to bond to. So, the hydrogen waters have a very, very short shelf life, but they're not carrying the additional electrons. And what we've seen, we now have several of our people who use the water constantly have set 2 new world records. One is skydiving from 22,000 feet without oxygen.
oh my word.
Which is completely unheard of. And normally above about 10,000 foot, one needs oxygen. He's jumping from 22,000 feet, and his blood ox is 100% on drinking the water while he's up there jumping. He set a new world speed record in a head dive at 213 mile an hour from that altitude. And then his partner just climbed the highest peak in Europe, which is actually in Russia. It's just under 19,000 feet without oxygen, coming directly from Miami to base camp over there. They told him it'd be 2 weeks to a month before his lungs acclimated. The next day he grabbed the Sherpa and said, let's go. And said, what's the normal climb time? And he said 12 to 14 hours. He did it in 6 hours and 1 minute on 2 liters of water.
Oh my word, that is amazing.
So he's getting the oxygen not through the lungs. He's getting it through the water he's drinking. Because your lungs are not going to convert overnight to high altitude.
Uh-huh.
Especially when you live in Miami.
So I think there's been a misconception, at least by some people, about, I know that oxygen is very important, but the only way that you can get it is with this type of water through, how do you explain that? I guess I...
Well, what's happening is the water is actually going into the tissue, and the hydrogens are being pulled off to knock down the oxidative stress and leaving an O2 behind in the cell, which provides oxygen. It's not actually going through the normal process of going through the lungs. That's why we've been so successful on helping treat different forms of pneumonia, everything from the bacterial to fungus to all the different, there's, basically numerous types of pneumonia. And we've also, originally we did help some of the 9/11 firefighters who lungs were completely totaled, but then we were unable to contact them anymore. What we run into is so many people we could help in many diseases that we're seeing. We've had great successes, but these people have armored themselves so well that there's no way you can get through to help these people, which is rather, upsetting to me, because I see people all the time that I'd love to be able to help, but there's no way you can contact them because they've built a wall around themselves.
Wow. Well, we're going to have a lot of firefighters that might be able to benefit from this product. The West Coast is burning up, and I'm sure they're getting lung damage from all the smoke and so on.
Right. We have shipped some water to one firefighter out there, and we've got some of the fire watch guys that have been trying to get it in, but until somebody really experiences it out there, they don't really understand what it is and the benefits. But it definitely helps amazingly in the dealing with high temperatures, high heat, providing oxygen to the cells. We've had, cyclists that have left from Miami and gone to Colorado, up into Denver, and beat everybody on the road courses, and everybody could understand they were checking them for drugs because there's no way you can come from Florida and beat them in the mountains. But
wow.
They're standing there drinking a bottle like this, and everybody said, "What drug are you on?" And the guy goes, "None, I'm not on any drugs." So.
That is amazing. I don't have my bottle right here, but it's over on the table. I can't get it. But yes, I've been amazed by it. And I just find that there's a mental block with people thinking that it's just regular, it's just another form of purified water. And it's definitely not. And because I've been telling people about it as well, because I've had very good experiences with it. And then I started using it a little on my face and in my hair, and I'm going, oh my God, my hair loves this water. And it's because it's hydrating it. So that's really cool. I like that. And I suppose it would be helpful, you get a little mister and you use it on your face to help keep your skin hydrated.
What we recommend is the Sally's Beauty Supplies, which are everywhere in this country.
Yes.
They have a mister called a 360 sprayer. It creates an ultrafine mist for doing hair and makeup to set it. And it works really well for spraying the eyes and the skin and the hair and the face. And it's called a 360 sprayer. I have one in the car, and it makes all the difference in the world when you're driving, especially at night, or your eyes start to get dry, you start spraying your eyes.
Yeah, I have, what about people with macular degeneration?
We have a doctor that's been working with us over in Hollywood, Florida, Dr. Walter Campbell, and he's been having great success infusing the gas into the eye and also using the water. And then he has formulated some eye drops that he's using with a mister, or he's using with a thing, which are Chinese herbs that he's studied with in China, that really help promote the energy in the eye. He's one of the few that I think that truly understands all the mechanisms within the eye. I think there's a lot of misnomers that, like, the optic nerve cannot repair itself, and
that's what they tell people. There's nothing that you can do.
We've seen different things, and people have told us. Let's put it that way.
Okay, well, that's encouraging, because people's vision tends to go as they get older, and if there's a way of preserving that by using this water. Now, not only did they take it internally as well as using it externally?
It was using one of the machines that actually produce the fifth phase of water, the gas. See, the way the water is made, it's water that's gone through about 9 steps to get it way past pharmaceutical impurity. And then what we do is we infuse the fifth phase of water back into it, which is the gas. So we bring it up to certain levels so that it's tolerable to drink. But I also make medical grade water for some of the medical manufacturers that are making products now that nobody's been able to duplicate, because we do a stronger one. It has more gas infused in it, but it doesn't taste as good. But for medical, where it's not being consumed, it's absolutely fine. But it actually carries even more electrons, and it starts to have a tinny taste, almost like water in an old tin canteen that's sat for a couple weeks.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
It has kind of a metallic taste on the tongue, but it's really phenomenal in stabilizing unstable chemistries. We found that. So I make that water also.
Wow. So are there very many medical practitioners that actually know about this water?
There's a fair number. I mean, we've shipped water, numerous places in the world. We're shipping to England and France and Norway and Sweden and China. That we had some serious detoxification issues in China. We sent the airlifted water over to China for that, which was pretty pricey, but it did remove all the heavy metals they were trying to get out of the workers.
Wow. I know they got very heavy pollution there.
Yes. Yes.
Talk about having a polluted body. That's definitely going to wear on your health and well-being for sure. Well, this just sounds like almost a miracle water. You couldn't find it in a better state to be able to utilize it and heal the body. So that's really awesome. What about, would it be correct to say that it microclusters the water, or is that?
No, really? I mean, it's not really. I mean, it's a different, that's a whole different, technology.
Okay.
This is, this water will cross the blood-brain barrier, goes immediately to the brain, and starts hydration in the brain, which is very difficult to do. And
Oh, that's big.
and that's why when we have people who have passed out from heat hydration and the brain's dehydrated and they collapse, normally in 10-15 minutes we have them back in the crowd, hanging in there with everyone else. It hydrates that fast. We've done some work with the special ops guys in the military.
Oh, you have?
Yes, and they found that it hydrates more than 4 times faster than standard water. One liter of our water is showing full brain hydration, and 4 liters of regular water, the brain's still dehydrated.
Wow, that's amazing. What about if somebody was diabetic and they had foot issues? Or, they can have all kinds of issues, but that's, very common.
There's on the Water Ion Technology site, which is the parent company we created, there's some video of, dealing with gangrene, which sets in on those things. And we've also done gangrene for the military on wounds that soaking it in the water, the gangrene can't survive in, and it provides oxygen to the cells, and then it gets rid of the fungus, which is the end result from the gangrene. What happens is you end up with a fungal that shuts down the little veins and arteries. Then it starts to creep up the leg or up the hand or up the arm. And once you kill that, then you can go ahead and get the little veins to regenerate, and then the blood flow come back, and we've got some incredible photos there.
That is awesome. I mean, there's a lot of people that I know that have issues like that as well. Are there any other types of health issues that you've seen that we haven't discussed that?
Oh, you would take you several weeks.
Oh, really? It's endless, huh?
No, it's endless. We've had tremendous. I mean, there's certain areas in the body, like the lungs and the kidneys, that are very hard to get a good redox signal, which calls in stem cells and T cells to do repair work. And what we're finding is that consuming the water, or putting the water on a wound site, draws far more stem cells and T cells and provides energy to them. So we've had great success in helping kidneys. The calcium oxalates, we found those are broken down by the water and carried out through the kidney without doing any damage. We see a lot of gallstones and kidney stones suddenly vanish, and everyone's scratching their heads. But what it is you're basically breaking them down, and then they'll travel through the kidney without harming it.
That's amazing. What about, has any work been done with the dialysis of any kind? Any help there in that regard?
You mean the kidney dialysis?
People that are on dialysis.
I mean, we've had there's some very interesting reviews in there that, I would get in trouble if I was to say what took place, but they can say it, but I can't. But
okay.
We've had some great success on cleaning out the kidney. The kidney is a filter. Mm-hmm. And the problem is we don't have a backflush port on it where we can push all the garbage out of it that it's been abused and ends up storing, and now it can't filter anything.
Oh, wow.
But the water, appears to go in there and help remove the garbage that's causing the problems, and then reduces the inflammation, and then enables it to heal, and then the kidney's effects seem to come back quite quickly.
Start functioning properly again.
Correct.
Wow, that's amazing. So not only can you use this to hydrate yourself, you can use it to detox yourself. You can use it as a therapeutic measure in a number of health issues. I'm trying not to be, not to say the wrong things, because we can't use the C word, and I don't mean cancer, I mean cure. That's not acceptable, unfortunately. But hello, everyone. This is Gail of Gaia. I'm the founder and producer of Free Range. I do my best to bring you the best in guests and information that's very relevant to you today. I'm making this short little clip today in order to ask you to please contribute to the channel. I'm not monetized by YouTube, I don't sell any products, and I don't have Patreon. So I depend upon your contributions. And I know everyone's having a tough time, but even a small amount from a number of people would help tremendously. So thank you. Please contribute. And again, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I do need your help. Thank you. And do you have any questions? Or
Yeah,
anything you'd like to add here, Sterling?
lots.
Oh, okay. Well, go for it.
Hey, me.
Oh, okay.
All right. So anyway, Rob,
I didn't know.
I'd like to have this on recording because one thing that everybody comes to me and it's like I have to repeat it like a broken record on a loop is why you cannot put this in glass.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, basically, the reason we don't put it in glass will deaden a material. It actually steals electrons. So over a period of time, it will actually pull the electrons out of the water and deaden it. So to make it last, we've shown over 8 years shelf life. We put it in a pharmaceutical grade plastic because it has to be isolated. You can drink it out of a glass, that's not a problem, but you don't want to store it in there for any period of long time.
That's fascinating. That really is.
Yeah, that one is so important because, I have all the time people are always telling me that. I'm like, no, the electrons don't last in the glass. And it's just, I tell them, I actually sometimes send them the link where you explain it. But some people just, they don't want to read. So I'm hoping the people that don't want to read, they can listen to the video and say, okay, because, there's people that are visual and there's people that are verbal, and we all understand things differently. So I'm just so grateful to have that part on recording and stuff. And also, the shipping thing, people don't understand. And when, all right, like let's say I look at a bottle of this water and as well as it benefits me, and let's say because I live in Louisiana, maybe it's the smaller bottles, about $2.70 a bottle for me with shipping, the 16.9 ounce bottle, which is half a liter. I see people go to the store every day and buy a bottled water for $2.99, but then they complain, and the health benefits are just so amazing. To get every cell in your body hydrated immediately, it's just mind-blowing. And also, I also have a lot of doctors that they'll go, and they'll go read, and they think they know it all, and then they'll come back and tell me, oh, I can't do that, it's this and that and stuff. Oh, you have to go on low deuterium water. Could you explain how this is better than low deuterium water? Because deuterium is everywhere. Could you explain that, Rob?
I'll give a shot at it, but deuterium, they call it the hydrogen's evil twin. I don't buy that. I'm sorry. Basically, the most important thing is hydration and detoxification. If you can't do both, then obviously you're going to have problems. And the percentages that they're dropping the deuterium, even by boiling it, steaming it and then recondensing and steaming and recondensing and doing all this, it's only a very small drop percentage-wise. So I don't really see that it's critical. I've talked with a lot of people in the water industry and doctors who are, I feel, very knowledgeable on it, and they kind of agree on our side that it may be a new fad that's being pushed. They were all going for alkali waters for a while, and then they realized all the damage that was doing, and then they came out with other things, and this is all natural. I mean, this is there's only two forces in the entire world that make the entire universe and everything on the planet, and that's magnetism and electrons. Those are the only two things that actually exist, and everything's made out of them. This water is made through the use of magnetism and electrons, so I don't know how much more basic you can get. This is what, plants, if you want to see the results, you can use the water on a plant. You'll see some major results, and that's not, I don't know how you can convince a plant to do better by putting water on it, but, but then also animals. We have a lot of people with testimonials that use the water on their animals. I had another one here recently where their dog was bleeding in its intestines. Every time it would go out to go potty, the dog would leave a trail of blood, and in the feces and everything else, and the doctors tried everything, and finally they decided to mix the dry food with Watt-Ahh, and 2 days later the dog's fine now. So,
Wow.
but what it is providing healing to the intestine. It's not that, you know, we did anything. It's not that we cured anything. It's what we did is we provide energy to where the wound site is, so the body had the ability to heal itself.
So it can hydrate itself and
Right.
and
Completely
it takes energy. Pardon?
And could you explain about hyperbaric oxygen chambers in a bottle of Watt-Ahh? Because people pay a lot of money going to go get HBOT. And can you explain how Watt-Ahh can be comparable to HBOT?
Well, the low pressure chambers, I think you're the one you're referring to, not the high pressure chambers. Basically what you're trying to do is force oxygen into the cells and also squeeze the cells to try to get some hydration, you know, transport. What we found is that if you are going to do that, drinking the water during and before and during and after has a very great effect. The problem with hyperbaric is that once you remove the pressure, the benefits seem to stop. They don't seem to continue. Whereas what we're doing, you know, it's a constant thing that goes on long after you finish the bottle, because the body's working it through the body, and all the cells are working in unison. And so it's very different, but it does supplement it. That's what we've seen that on a young autistic child, the Mikey Center, that his mother was putting him on the water before he went into the hyperbaric, and they were seeing dramatic changes that they'd never seen before, because it helped force it into the cells even faster.
People just don't know what they're missing. What about how, you know, some people will say ionized water. That's the way to go. How can you compare and contrast that?
This is actually deionized. We removed the minerals because what the water should do is carry the minerals that the food in the body is breaking down. Once you've loaded the water with minerals, ionization, it's limited on what it can carry. You know, it's kind of like handing you 6 suitcases and asking you to go through the door. You're not going to fit. And you're not going to carry any more suitcases because you can't, there's no place to hang on to them. So you want the water to have the ability to carry nutrients and then also pick up the toxins and carry them out and carry them through the kidney without damaging it.
Wow.
And go ahead.
Are you able to mix this with, like, can you use it as hot water with tea or anything like that?
We do. And we do coffees and teas. It'll ruin you. I'm sorry. You'll never go back once you try it. It has fun, because the water has the ability to take the oils into suspension. So you now have the flavor of the coffee. The flavor of teas and coffees in the oil, either in the bean or in the leaf of the tea. This will actually pick it up. So now you have far greater flavor and compared to regular coffee. So I've got people that when they run out of Watt-Ahh, they don't drink coffee. They say there's no point.
Well, I just started to try it with coffee, and I'm going, I hope it doesn't, make it not work or make it not as effective.
Oh, no.
Or
It's very
destroy
good.
the gas or whatever. No, it doesn't. Okay.
You know what I use my Watt-Ahh with to liver cleanse? I liver cleanse once a week. A cup of dandelion root tea with Watt-Ahh. Knock everything out your liver. That's bad.
Well, what I started doing is I have some liquid vitamins, which I really like. And it comes in, you'd use a tablespoon or whatever, and it contains fulvic acid and humic acid as well. And anyway, I started mixing it with, I figured that if I put it into the Watt-Ahh, when I took it, it would be more effective and it would drive it into my cells more readily. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Very much so. I mean, that's one of the reasons we tell people who, if they're on, powerful meds, to avoid taking them with a Watt-Ahh, because it'll pull off any time release. If you take a time release capsule like niacin, you take it with our water, it's going to be an interesting adventure for a couple
Like a
of hours.
niacin flush?
Oh, yes.
I've done that with niacin and Watt-Ahh before. You will flush immediately.
Yeah, you look like a rose on a pretty day. So.
Well, that's good to know. So, but it's a great way to get whatever you really want into the cells, and
Correct.
then helps you detox as well. That's just amazing.
But what we've also been using it for is topically on wound care. See, most doctors say to keep a wound dry. We found, and now they're starting to come around to our way of thinking, that standard water supports bacterial growth. This water does not really support it. So when we have burns, even massive burns, we use wet bandages and keep it wet, and the healing is like you've never seen.
Phenomenal.
So,
I used to work at, I'm a nutritionist by background, and the burn unit was a place I couldn't handle. I mean, it's so hard to see the suffering or the what they go through, and then they scrub them down, and I'm like, I can't handle that. But
well, see you've just hit on something right there, that this really should be in all the burn units. And we've been fighting for that for a long time.
Makes sense to me.
The reason they do, I asked the doctors, I said, why, when you start the healing, do you go in and you do debridements where you're beating it all up again? And he said, what's happened is the stem cells have stopped doing their work, so we have to re-injure the wound to get more stem cells to come in. What we found is by keeping the wound wet, all the dead material comes off every day you change the bandage. But you're providing energy to the stem cells and T cells that are doing the repair work. And they keep right on going, and it heals like crazy, and there's virtually no pain, and there's virtually very little scarring.
Wow. Yeah, because I always felt so bad for people when the whole process that they went through was just miserable.
Yes.
And then there's the whole other issue with cancer. I imagine it would be very beneficial with that as well.
We've had some very interesting testimonials on that too, but that's something I'll have to leave for them.
I know. Okay. Well, we'll find. Where can people find the testimonials? Because we do have to be careful what we say, and I hope people understand that.
Right. Most of the testimonials are on the water ion technology. If you go down the main page, about 2/3 of the way down, there's a WIT site. You'll see, and that's where you can go into testimonials.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, you have a Dr. Joe's testimonial of mercury detoxification. Is that the dentist you were talking about?
Yeah.
And Dr. Walter Campbell's testimonial and video on silver detoxification?
Right. Mm-hmm.
What do you mean silver detox?
He was using colloidal silver.
Okay.
And he was a typical
turn blue
American that if a little is good, a whole bunch
more is better, right?
Got to be better. And he basically ended up poisoning himself by taking huge amounts, thinking he was doing good. And then he had some very serious neurological issues, and he was crippled in a wheelchair, and there's a video of that where he came in a wheelchair and walked to his car afterwards.
Oh, my word. Well, I'm so happy that we're doing this, because I have some friends who have some health issues that I'm going to definitely have them watch this video so they can hear it from the horse's mouth. And because I try to explain it. And like I said, everybody thinks it's just another form of water, and it's not. It's totally different.
I'd like to add in the pet part of this, because Rob will tell you, and this is my testimonial, so this isn't the company speaking what I saw. My little Chiweenie Cujo, he got a disease called meningococcal granuloma encephalopathy.
Wow.
And then he started having, when the little granulomas would grow around his spinal column, he was having some huge disc problems, collagen issues. And, I went to the regular vet. We initially put him on prednisone, went to the holistic vet, got him on his homeopathies and all his good diet and a lot of other things. But then Rob helped me out. He was like, let me send you some of this collagen I get from Germany. It's some good stuff. And mix it with the Watt-Ahh and his turkey he likes eating. Because I always cook them turkey breast.
Mm-hmm.
And I mixed it all in a very small dose of it. And instead of it taking 3 months for this collagen to get in the cell, like within 3-4 days, he's running around, he's barking at the fence like he doesn't have anything wrong with his spinal cord. But, it's, he was even given 8 days to 2 years left to live. His 2-year expiration date was last November, by the way, and he's still running around like and barking at the fence now to this day. It's just the benefits of this Watt-Ahh for animals, too. It's amazing.
Wow. My dog's very young, but I'm going to have to give her some now and then to help her stay hydrated and healthy.
I like mixing it in their little powdered vitamins. I do a live food vitamin. Their holistic vet mails me a bag every 4 months, and it's a mix of whole food vitamins with some probiotics in it. And I'll just mix it in the Watt-Ahh and give them each all their little doses in the morning.
Oh, wow. I might have to check with you on that because I was looking for a supplement for my dog.
Yeah, it's a really
quality
supplement, and it has to stay refrigerated, but it's powder, but it's all whole food supplement for dogs. It's really good.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Okay. Do you have anything else, Sterling, that you might like to add? Have we covered pretty much everything?
I think we have. Because we can't talk a lot about people's benefits. You've heard stories, I've told you and stuff, but people have to get on the testimonial wall and look at things. I will tell you about my nephew's concussion now. My nephew is a big football player in Chicago, and he has college scouts looking at him and everything. He's a quarterback. And he got a double concussion, and they told him he was going to be out the entire football season. And I sent him ordered him a couple cases of Watt-Ahh and had him shipped there. And I said, have him drink about half a liter a day. And if he gets a little too energetic, make sure he's only drinking it in the morning. He was guzzling down 2 liters a day. He loved that stuff. He said, it's the best stuff in the world, getting rid of my headache. I'm not seeing double. 2 weeks later, the neurologist couldn't believe he had suffered with a double concussion. They were like, wow, he could already go back to football.
That's amazing. That really is. And there's many more of these kind of testimonials on that site, correct?
Correct.
I've seen some of them, but I haven't seen them all. And since we have to tiptoe through things because of the FDA and the AMA and all those alphabet letter agencies, what about, will you have a plant in another location besides Florida? That was something I was wondering about.
We're hopefully we're not sure where, but somewhere out probably in Midwest area, somewhere we're hoping eventually. We don't know when, but hopefully either in Denver or possibly California were the 2 areas we're looking at.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering because the shipping charges, people complain about that. But like you were saying, Sterling, the idea of purchasing the water with the added shipping on it versus what you
versus going to a convenience store and grabbing a water, or at a restaurant grabbing a bottle of water where they tripled the price. You pay more for that bottle of water than you would for this good water, even with the shipping in some places.
And no other water is going to compare to what this water is able to do in terms of hydration, detoxification, and health promoting benefits. I know hydration is absolutely critical for people. They don't realize how important it is. Just like people think they're hungry when they're actually thirsty, they need to, hydrate themselves more.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are certain things that are going to dehydrate you, and this would be the fastest way to rehydrate yourself. Correct?
Yeah,
Right.
I got a pretty nasty virus where it was, fever went up, and you always try to let that fever burn because that fever is going to kill the virus faster. And past experiences, when I get fever, I used to dehydrate easily because everything I've been through, I was just so toxic and stuff. But I've been drinking this Watt-Ahh, and with the, last time that I caught it, and the virus, this is an influenza about a year and a half ago, and it was like within 48 hours, I'm running around with an influenza, and I'm like, oh, I still felt a little white, but usually when I've had a flu in the past before I was trying this Watt-Ahh, I'd be in bed for almost 2 weeks because of everything my body's been through. And it was like later I'm up functioning, back to work and stuff, and just smiling, and I was hydrated. I was hydrated. So I got past it faster.
It's awesome. I love it. I have had very good experiences with it. I haven't had anything in particular really wrong with me, but it does feel like it really does give you energy, and I was drinking it very sparingly at first, but now I'm just drinking it all the time. And I love it. It's great. And then I started using it on my hair. Pardon?
We have something in my family called long QT, and it's a potassium-related long QT. And I tell you what, my potassium levels have been better than they've been in my entire lifetime since I've been on the Watt-Ahh. And apparently one of my sons got my potassium processing issues, and he got a job sandblasting, and he has to wear this big old suit, and even though it's air conditioned, it still gets hot up in there. And I had shipped him to North Louisiana when I was living in New Orleans. I shipped him a case of Watt-Ahh. And he said, Mom, that stuff has saved me. I mean, he just loved it. He could just guzzle down a liter and he wouldn't get dehydrated being in that sandblasting suit. He'd make sure he would drink a liter before he got to work.
Wow.
Yeah.
This stuff is awesome. Thank you for inventing it.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Well, I hope we can enlighten a lot of people about the nature of this water, and that it is definitely something that's unique. It's unsurpassed. There's nothing else like it. It's the one and only, with a patent on it as well. And it's all natural as well.
I feel it's what the body's asking for. I mean, what's very interesting is the comments we get back from all sorts of people that, oh, I don't drink water, but after they drink this, they say, that's really good, and I will drink this. And then even when autistic children who we have given the water to, normally the parents will say, well, they don't drink water. And, we did a bunch of offshore boat racing for a bunch of years, and we're very successful at it. And here in Sarasota, we're part of the group that supported the children. And I can't tell you how many times the kids would say, I'd ask the parents, they'd be in a wheelchair or whatever, and I'd ask the parents, can I give him a bottle of water? And they said, well, he doesn't drink water, or she doesn't drink water. And the kid I asked him, do you want one? They goes, yes. And then the kid drinks it and just polishes the bottle off right there in front of you. And the mom looks at him and says, I thought you didn't like water. And the comment that comes back is, Mom, this is different.
Wow.
Yeah, I have an autism story. I have a friend of mine that has a 33-year-old son, severe autism. He's morbidly obese. my friend has to lock the pantry, lock the refrigerator. His son still wears a diaper. He's had to put locks on the front and back door because he'd wake up in the morning, rip off his diaper, run down the street. Never can really talk to anybody, just moans back and forth, back and forth. And I had told him about the Watt-Ahh, so he ordered some. And he called me up 4th of July of 2019. Well, he told me, I'd like you to come and have lunch with us 4th of July, hang out with us. And I said, okay, I'll come by. And he opened the door and he was just smiling away. And I hadn't seen my friend smile in a long time because he's just beat down. His dad just died of cancer. He was taking care of his elderly dad. His mother's died of emphysema. He's had to go into early retirement and take care of his son, adult son with autism, and his dying mother. I mean, this guy is deaths all around him, just sick people. And just so exhausted. And I see him all happy and perky. And then he says, wait until you see. And I saw his son for the first time in his life. He was talking. He wasn't talking to anybody. He's just in the, out in the blue, just in the corner, just holding a conversation. He went to the refrigerator, opened it, put some stuff on a plate for food for himself. I mean, I was just like shocked. And then he held up the water and he came running to me and gave me a hug. And he was the type of man that with autism, if you touch him, he'd start screaming and get violent. And he came and ran and gave me a hug. And his dad had to start locking away the Watt-Ahh because he would try to drink it late at night. It energizes it. He'd stay up all night. So he'd have to, fill some regular water in some of the bottles. And he would always know that those bottles weren't the Watt-Ahh too. But it's an amazing story. It gave him, he's not 100%, but it gave him some life back. And he's just overjoyed to see his son liking water that much.
Improving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have a dear friend that I interview on a regular basis. Her name is she's a super soldier, and her name is Penny Bradley, and she has a lot of health issues. And I'm definitely going to have her watch this video. And I think it'll help her. She deals with a lot of health issues from what she's been through. Anyway, is there anything else that anyone wants to add? Rob, do you have anything more to say? Your product's amazing.
Well, thank you. And I just want to thank you ever so much for inviting us. This is a real treat.
Well, thank you. Yes, and I
love you. I love your hair.
Oh, thank you.
It looks like,
With Watt-Ahh.
I use Watt-Ahh. I started with Watt-Ahh, and I did it one time. I just thought, well, I'm going to try and see what it does for my hair, and I was amazed. I even got compliments when I did the next video, and I had used it, and I go, wow.
I know. I called her up, and I was like, wow, Gail, what did you do to your hair? Like, oh, I set it with some Watt-Ahh, and I'm like, whoa, you could just see the difference. And now, her hair is just so
the ends
full
were
and
all
gorgeous.
dried up and everything, and it just like my hair just went and loved it. So it has a lot of applications besides just drinking it.
oh yes.
Yeah.
One of the products that we're very excited about is an odor eliminator for colostomy bags. It's not a deodorant, it's an odor eliminator that's being produced now. I make thousands of gallons of water for it. And what it actually does is a pre-treatment in the colostomy bag, which completely knocks out the odor. You can put your nose in it and there's no smell whatsoever. So the people can go in public now with a colostomy bag.
Nasty. Yeah.
Oh God, oh yes. But this product's going great gangbusters. I just produced another 1,000 gallons yesterday for the manufacturer, the medical manufacturer. But it's really selling like crazy because it's given these people the ability to go back in public. Because even if the bag vents, you bump into them in an elevator or they're in a line at the grocery store, there's no smell. None.
Wow.
Absolutely none.
Yeah, and then what happens with something like that is then people not only do they not want to go out in public, but then they also a lot of people will use these deodorizers in their house to change the smell, and all it is it's poisoning them.
Right.
So anyway, this is wonderful. I'm so happy that I've had you on, and I want to thank you for inventing this wonderful product. And
Well, I've got to give a thanks to my wife Dana, for putting up with it and running the company, and she's the one that's enabled us to get here.
I would like to add, Dr. Zach Bush has done a lot of work with Watt-Ahh too, that you can find on his website, because I know a lot of your followers know about Dr. Zach Bush. So,
I didn't know he was using it.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of people do. A lot of people, okay, good. That's good to know.
His fulvic compound, his Restore product, is recommended to use it with the water.
Oh, good. Awesome.
It's yes.
So you can use it and mix it in other things and stuff, and it doesn't deteriorate or degenerate or anything like that. It still retains its value.
Correct.
Take my supplements. I make sure I drink a little water before. I'm washing them down with Watt-Ahh and drink a little after. So I'll know they get in the cells really good. I don't want to waste any of it.
Exactly. That's why I was reluctant to use it on my hair and my face. So I don't want to waste this water.
You're not wasting it. You're not wasting it.
No, I'm not. I realize that now. So I'm glad I did. I went ahead anyway. And but anyway, I can't thank you enough. And I hope many people see this and have the opportunity. Now they have the opportunity to know that it's available. And at the very least, they should try it.
Thank you very much.
I think they'll like it.
I know. It's so
immensely.
exciting to do an interview with you, Rob. We've been talking for so long, and
I know.
I'll be so busy and hectic for everybody.
Well, we will share this, won't we, Sterling, as much as we can. And like I said, I got a radio station now that I just got hooked up with that's in New York, and they're going to stream this later too. So that's good.
Hopefully we can find out how to get to some of the reason they're losing these first responders from 9/11 is, they have impaired lung function and all sorts of other issues, toxifications that they can't get rid of. And, we'd love to hear from some of these people.
Wow. So I did have one other question that I just remembered that I forgot earlier. And that was I also knew someone who was arsenic poisoned, and they're recovering, but I think it's a slow recovery process. But if they were to drink this water, it would help remove it faster, correct?
I believe so, definitely. In my experience, we've seen it.
Okay, awesome. Wonderful detoxifier, wonderful hydrator. You can't beat it. The best water on the planet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we'll wrap this up. And thank you, Sterling. Thank you, Rob. And we'll put it out there for others to know.
This program is not intended to treat, diagnose, prevent, or cure any disease and should not be considered medical advice. The statements herein have not been evaluated by the FDA. The opinions expressed are those of the guests and not necessarily the opinions of Free Range, its producers, principals, or staff. Viewers are directed to consult professional sources before acting on any information presented here.